him in the bottom corner, and that was all she wrote. As you know, Mark, this morning we had an opportunity to get a camera into a boat, and that is quite an experience. Here we are right now, earlier this morning, in the boat driven by Paul Crisco, who we saw win the first heat of the EP class. Paul Crisco is out in the water right now with boat number 73, Jeremy Dunn, and boat number FE8, which is Herb White. Now, this is an experience because right now we're going to show the viewers exactly what happens when a driver gets in behind the wheels of one of these boats. Right now, we have Paul Crisco and me holding on desperately, terrified for all of Earth, hanging on to our lives inside this boat. Right now, Paul is crossing over the wake, and now this is exactly what a driver tries to do. He tries to get the inside track that we saw a little earlier so that he can hold on to that inside track, go a little shorter around the course than everybody else, and you'll see what happens right here. We pass Paul Crisco, we pass Jeremy Dunn, we pass Herb White, and we can just see the turning buoy right there. Now, a mistake is made here sometimes by drivers. They get too close to the corner, they have to shoot past that pin a little farther than they planned, and all of a sudden that will do the opposite of what we saw Rob Wood do, and that opens the door for the other drivers. Now, we've asked Paul to do something very uncharacteristic, and that swing a little wide, and you see what's happened is that the other boats have crossed our wake and gone right in behind us, and now Paul, if this were a real race, is in a mess, because he has to cross over the wake of these other boats, try to gain the inside track again, and he's got to make up some distance that he has lost because he chose to go wide. Now, we're just going to watch this for a second. You can see what a little extra speed, as Paul Crisco indeed has, trying to hold on here, over his competitors. He can make up the distance, but you don't want to make this kind of driving mistake very often because it will cost you the race.
Just want to look here for a little bit.
Got a little bit rough there as we went over the wake. You try to hang on for all you're worth. And we're going past the pits there now. You can see the crowd had started to filter in here pretty early this morning. And now we're going into the corner. Once again, Herb White just in front of us. And you see a little bit of what we're facing every time we go into a corner. The boats are beside us, and you've got to find your way around the corner. Of course, in a real race, these gentlemen wouldn't be as kind as they're being to us right now, Mark. They would have slammed the door in our face, and we would have seen nothing except water. And eventually, probably, we'd end up further back in the pack than we started off when we went into the corner. This is going down the back straightaway. And right now, holding on once again, we see a nice rear view behind us of these boats running. And there is Jeremy Dunn's boat right behind us, the boat number 73, the yellow boat, and behind him, Herb White. Now, one other thing about these conditions, as we watch Jeremy's boat running very smoothly there, under race conditions, of course, we would have 8, 9, 10 boats out here in the course, and the water is not as smooth as it is right now. So it looks like they're going on a Sunday afternoon pleasure cruise. But believe me, when it is race time, these boats are all over the place, and these drivers have their work cut out for them just to hold on. Mark Rothermel, we are back here live, and the flag is up for the second heat of the EP class, the Le Mans start, and boy, oh boy, we are in for another battle, I hope, like we had the first time round with Paul Crisco, boat number 54. The flag's down.
They're down.
Run away.
Crisco's got the inside shot at it this time.
And right beside him, Timmy Topp, out early, is boat number 302.
Those were the two front runners in our last heat. Let's see what happens. Boy, are they up in the air. Look at Topp.
Topp right up on his transom, and Paul Crisco put his foot to the floor to try to take advantage of it.
Now, let's see if Topp has that outside speed.
Oh,
he needs it. He needs it if he's going to keep even with him.
Timmy Toth on the outside. Paul Crisco has got the lead on the inside, and that does spell bad news for Tim Toth, because one time Paul Crisco gets the lead. He is very tough to shut down.
They couldn't catch him the last time.
Very tough to shut down. Now look at these boats as they're coming down the straightaway, right up on the pad. Mark, what is the pad, and how do they get there?
Well, there's a pad. It could be anywhere from about 4 inches to 6 inches wide. It runs the entire length of the boat right to the point where it starts to V forward.
And that's what they try to balance the boat on, as you can see. Paul Crisco is obviously doing it, going down that straightaway.
You bet. If they can balance that boat, it won't shine walk. That means rocking from side to side, and they can keep it stable and keep it running fast.
Some real competition in that bottom corner as the 4th, 5th, and 6th place boats go back, but we flash now once again to Paul Crisco going down that back straight. Boat 54 really hung out to dry.
Yeah, he's running on about 2 inches of surface there. In fact, most of the time, I don't even think he's touching the boat. Just prop riding.
Absolutely beautiful piece of driving, and you really have to work these boats, Mark, to keep it in balance.
They aren't easy to drive, you know. Once you get on such a narrow pad and with, you know, just a few inches, naturally it's like trying to balance something very heavy on a very small surface. And
something like that, like an elephant on the top of a ladder.
Hey, that sounds right.
Here he comes, Paul Crisco right now with that elephant perched beautifully on top of that ladder. He looks like he's going for a Sunday cruise.
Very aerodynamic, may I add.
Absolutely beautiful. That boat right out of the water. A beautiful piece of driving, going streaming past there, and you can see him now hammering into that corner. Nice and tight. He's got a really good lead on Tim Toth, coming into the corner second there now.
They've got a good race going on between third and fourth place.
Beautiful. Right there, it's Herb White.
Side by side, going into the top corner.
And Brian Rodway. And Herb White has just swung a little wide there, and Brian Rodway came in inside, and now he's got third place going down that back straight. We're trying to pick up something on the back straight now. There was once again, from side to side, that's Paul Crisco heading into that corner. Our leader at this point, completing his second lap. And lots of clear water between him and Tim Toth. You don't even see him in your picture right there. Paul Crisco is just having a great run.
There comes Toth through now, and he hooks it around a little bit. He caught up with the wake of Crisco at that point.
Trying very hard, but Paul Crisco, as you can see, as you mentioned earlier, so beautifully aerodynamic and completely airborne. Beautiful.
He's hanging the boat up very, very high. You can see every once in a while a gust of wind will peck up the V-bottom, and although the action isn't quite as violent as it would be in a tunnel boat if the gust hits you, it still picks you up enough into the air that you think you could lose control.
Timmy Toth coming out of the corner there in second place. Now he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to get anywhere close to Paul Crisco. But Timmy Toth has been around and he knows how to drive. So this one is not necessarily over yet. One mistake, Paul Crisco could be in trouble.
I'm going to get a lap time on Crisco this time as he enters the first turn, and we're going to see how fast he's actually negotiating this course.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, unless my guess is wrong, my guess is that Paul Crisco is looking for a record on this record course that we have here today in Dunnville. And once again, coming down straightaway, a nice open run. It looks like Tim Toth has closed up a bit.
Yeah, it's sure nice when you don't have to contend with all the wakes and waves from the other boats. And Timmy Toth is pretty well riding flat himself. His bow attitude is a little higher than Crisco's. That doesn't mean he's going faster. It just means he's
pushing harder.
Yeah, pushing harder. A little different angle of attack.
That Wilson Racing Team boat of the Criscos is really set up beautifully. Timmy Toth coming out of the corner there, working very hard. You can see that boat is getting its nose well up above the water, and he is pushing very hard indeed.
What's nice about this is we have an Evinrude and a Mercury out there and a Nissan engine, so we've got all the engine manufacturers represented. And we're going to get a time on Crisco at this point.
It's coming up there top corner.
He's into 1 minute and 4 seconds for a complete lap.
That means that this is a measured mile. He's averaging very close to 60 miles an hour. That's taking into consideration the rough time in the corner, so he's doing very, very well.
Yeah, that's an average, as you say, an average speed, so they slow down a fair amount in the corners, and I'd say he's probably reaching in the high 70s on the straightaways.
And look at that boat. He's about to try to lap if he can. Boat number 00, Ian Kramer, and on the outside there in front of him is Jeremy Dunn.
We've got a good race going on, actually, with Jeremy Dunn. He's back in 5th place, I believe, at this stage. But he's trying hard, and he's getting used to the boat. He's learned a lot from his dad in terms of experience and how to drive, and now he's just got to sort the boat out. And
the Nissan group is a new group in the, there he is right now, new to boat racing, so the organization is learning a lot, and it's great to see another organization coming into boat racing here in Canada.
Well, Nissan sells a lot of outboards. Certainly they're very well up in this two-stroke business now, and I'd love to see them in competition, and I think you'll see Jeremy running at the front of the pack next season.
Jeremy's done a nice job as we see him coming through the corner there. He stretched out the line on Ian Kramer, but Paul Crisco coming up on the inside. He is our race leader.
Take a look at the difference in speed.
Yeah.
Now, Crisco is fast. Take a look at that. He's going by Dunn at probably 5, 6 miles an hour.
And there's the checkered flag for Paul Crisco. Your winner, ladies and gentlemen, a happy man. He's thumping his hand up and down. He's waving to his pit crew.
2 heats in a row.
2 heats in a row, and he's looking now at his eyes on the national championship race next weekend in Gravenhurst.
You bet, and he'll be there. He'll be right in there. I think every one of these drivers is anxious to play it safe this weekend and get to the Nationals without an incident. They only have a week, between the 2 races, and that doesn't give them a lot of time if they do have an accident, if they have to fix some damaged equipment.
Exactly right, and that national race is worth an awful lot more than an ordinary race like today in terms of your total points. So nobody wants to break any equipment here, that's clear. So in first place at the end of this heat, we have Paul Crisco. In second place, Tim Toth, and in third place, Herb White. We'll be back in a minute at the 40.